So during the whole month, almost the whole month of February and leading into March, I was sick. I was so sick that I was on my back. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything but just rest. 18 hours a day, I was resting. What I ended up having to do was I had to go to the ER because I had some abdominal pains. I had to drive myself. Now, I'm a usually healthy, vibrant individual. But this particular day, I was like, look, I need some relief from this pain. And it was a relatively quick onset. I couldn't keep anything down. My abdominal pain was coming, and it was coming in waves. So I go to the ER. The ER does this battery of tests. They find out what they can find out, but they see nothing. So they recommend me or send me to a gastroenterologist. Now, I couldn't go right away. I had to set an appointment. But once I set the appointment, we had a few conversations, and it was determined that you need an endoscopy, and a colo. Let's just say it that way. A colonoscopy, and they wanted to go in from the top and from the rear. And they wanted to check out my gastrointestinal tract. Well, the endo turned out to be fine. In fact, my joke to them was, please don't get the endo and the colo mixed up because I don't want colo breath. But anyway, I'm just like, please don't mix those up. And she was like, no, there's no way that can happen because they're two different sizes. I'm like, yeah, but let me just make sure I don't have no colo breath up in here. So anyway, I get the colonoscopy done, and it determines this. I have ulcers. In fact, the ulcers were so bad in my intestines that she could only go so far. She really couldn't do the full colonoscopy, right? So what she does is she recommends rest, she recommends fluid, and she recommends some antibiotics. So I'm realizing, but then here's the thing. She asks me a question once she gets the information back. And the question is this, and it was a little weird because I thought I was coming to you for this answer. She says to me, what's going on in your life that is causing these ulcers? I'm like, aren't you the doctor? Aren't you supposed to tell me? But I missed it. I didn't understand what she was saying. What she was actually asking me is, what is the thing? What is the thing that you're holding on to? What is the stressful set of circumstances in your life that are causing you to have these ulcers? Now, we did it again. And on the second colonoscopy, about 30 days later, I am free and clear. What I had to let go in the interim was this. As much as I hate to admit it, as much as I should have been fully aware, but the inability to self-assess, I had to let go of a business that I had had for 10 years. And this was a business where I was very successful. I made 6 figures. I started it from the ground up. I didn't have to lie to anyone. I built up well more than 400 5-star reviews. So I was this successful entrepreneur and a man who was able to do his thing on his own terms. And that had become my identity. That had become my awareness. I was affirmed by what I was able to do. And I wasn't willing to let it go. And that's why I was having the ulcers. What I had done, and I didn't realize it was, I allowed a status, affirmation, and the perception of other people to become more important to me than to hear God's voice. Because if I'm honest with you, He had told me already 10 years was the max. I had already done all that I needed to do in the business at 10 years. But because of the income, because of my perception of how people would see me in terms of being a failure and whatnot, I decided to keep on going. That cost my health. Because I put these idols, this thing called success, because I put this thing called affirmation, because I put all these things in place that were designed to make me feel better, because I did those things, I now was suffering because of my health. So what I had to do was I had to ridiculously modify the business that I had, and I had to make an adjustment. And making that adjustment was to make myself more comfortable, make myself more peaceable, and I had to stop worrying about other people's opinion, whether it be maintaining the 5-star rating, whether it be answering to every whim and guess and hope of every customer, whether it be taking every single job or fighting back and forth between what my value was and what they wanted to pay and justifying what I charged. All of those things were stressful for me, and they were wearing me out. I was really concerned, if I'm honest, and I've said it a couple of times, and I really want to emphasize this point. I was so concerned about what other people would say about me. I thought my success was connected to what I did. I thought my identity and my value was connected to what I did. And it cost. I've made the adjustment, and I'm asking you the same question. What are you sacrificing? What have you put on the altar that doesn't even matter, that's actually compromising your health, your relationships, and maybe ultimately your life? Ultimately, your life. My name is Brian Keith. Thank you for listening.